Well, it's, it's really simple. It's all about arranging, everything having its place, and it's an art form. It's not a science. So there's very few rules. Basically, it's about to make clean cuts and have everything have access to light and air, and you can access it, and it's pretty much all it is.
Now your branches kind of bend down a little bit. Are you trying to prune them in a way where they come back up at all?
Well, they're not going to come back up. They're all bent over because of the weight of the fruit. You understand, the weight bends them down, and so there's no way they're going to come back up. But if you look at the tops of the trees, they're all where I could reach. And basically, as I pruned out, as they grow out and weight happens, they keep coming down. So my challenge, in most orchards, people are pruning trees down. I'm pruning mine up because everything's so low to the ground. But it's I've had people come on tours and it's hilarious. They say, "This is the first time in my life I had to bend over to pick an apple." Usually you're reaching, they're out of your reach. And then when they fall, they don't have far to go, and they got a nice soft wood chip, nest to land in, so they don't get damaged at all when hurt when they fall. No bruises or anything. So it works out pretty good.
Okay, so what's left on this little branch right here, that's just a hot mess.
It is, and we're going to see how I'm going to open it up and give it plenty of space and light. And here's the thing that's real a real basic in pruning is taking centers out. You see, this is very crowded, and see, by going in taking the center out, see how it just opens everything up. And that's usually to the it's hard for people. They're thinking like, well, that's right in the middle. That's the thickest part. Don't cut that. Well, you should cut that because it's by taking that center out, you really open it up. So that's a real common practice, is taking centers out.
Now you always talk about how the Japanese teach to prune from the inside out.
Yes.
You don't have an inside.
Well, because I've already done all the major work there. You see, during the summer, see those little suckers that are happening in there?
Right.
I clean all those out. And I do it when it first starts as little buds instead of waiting for big shoots to happen, because I don't want it shaded. So I'm always working from the inside out. And so, because my sense is, you see these big old long shoots that I have here? That takes a lot of energy for the tree to create that, and then they create shade. So I'm thinking, like, why waste the energy? So by removing them when they're little, all the energy goes into the tree and the fruit that I want to keep. So it's just, to me, just, makes sense to, maintain the openness and not let it get all crowded with, like you look behind it, you see this apple tree here. You see how full that is, just so much clutter, And so it'd been ideal. I didn't get to it because I had all this cabbage growing there, so I didn't want to be walking on it. If I'd been ideal if I'd have cleaned that stuff out in the summertime, because you look at the length of those shoots and how much energy it took to create all that wood. It's going to all get cut out later. So to me it makes no sense, harboring something you're going to remove.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in the wrong place. And it's so cool when it's little. You just prune with your glove. You just take your hand and just rub them off. You don't even need a pruning tool, And you leave no wound, no mark. So it's very convenient. So that's why everything's in the center already taken care of. Because but it's very important to prune from the inside out instead of the outside in. And if you think about it, all cultures, everywhere you've seen where you live here, everybody prunes from the outside in. They come to a thing and just start hacking ends off. And it looks gross. It looks terrible. Or if you get inside, you can see where all the crossovers are happening, all the things that belong. When you get that cleaned out, then it's very obvious how to arrange the rest. So it's just, to me, it makes such sense, to start from the inside. I think these principles, I'm seeing in nature, you see everywhere. How does the Creator work with us?
From the inside.
Inside out. Yeah, it's just, I love the order in nature. It's just, everything's, in line. It's just everything, the same principles are everywhere,
That's a pretty big chunk. You're cutting it off because it's going in and down and kind of crossing over that one?
See, I want to have access to everything. And it just gets... Here's the thing about cutting big chunks. As a tree grows, not only does it extend itself through branches, the wood expands. And if you don't take out big wood every now and then, you're going to get a very cluttered, concentrated mass in the center. And so if you look around, you'll see large cuts I've made, where I've taken, because they're just getting too crowded. And I always want to have access to my trees. I want to be able to come and pick. And if I can't be able to get into something, then it's not workable. And I keep coming to the realities that, these trees here to serve me, not me them. And so I'm going to make them workable, to where they're accessible. And the issue is not like, oh, you're cutting off all kinds of fruit. I get way more fruit than I could possibly use, so there's no shortage of fruit. And so I just make everything, accessible so I can reach stuff. Pruning is an art form. It's not a science.
Yeah, okay.
And that makes it so it doesn't have a lot of rules.
Okay.
I like that. Not a lot of things you have to remember. And basically there's only a few that matter. You want to make clean cuts. Cut right to the collar.
Yes, I saw that on one, right?
And let me show you the advantage.
Okay.
You see all the places here where I cut at the collar, how nicely it's healed?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen where they don't cut to the collar and they leave a stump?
Yes.
It never heals.
Okay.
Because the collar can't grow over it. And you know what I found out about the Creator has a sense of humor. When I asked him where to cut, he said, I made a line, cut to the line. I thought, it's so obvious that there's a line. He made it so clear, cut to the line.
Okay.
Duh. So that's really a real simple rule. Always make clean cuts. And what's nice about that is that it's very convenient. You take your saw, you come right up close to the branch, you lay right on it, and you cut. You don't have to try to figure out how far back. Just put it up to the branch and cut. It's easy, So that's a very, very important part that most people don't know. And most pruning, you see stumps. Mm-hmm. And when the tree sends all these suckers out of them, the wood inside dies back and you have cavities. You look at my trees, I have no cavities anywhere. Okay. They've all healed beautifully. So it demonstrates and shows that that's a very effective way to prune.
Well, I have used the wrong things for pruning, so I haven't been able to get
clean cut. Yeah, there's two tools you want for pruning: a good saw and hand pruners. Loppers are not a pruning tool because you can't get close. You got the big jaw there, So a nice saw and a hand pruner is all you need, and you're good. I love Simple. Simple's a very safe place. You can't get lost there.
What's your dog's name?
My dog's name is Tirsa.
Tirsa.
Tirsa. It means delight.
Yes.
Now something that you see here, that as you come out to this end, this is crowded. And this is something that's so basic and it's really hard for people. You take centers out. Watch this. You see how that's opened up? All of a sudden it says open now. And you see the natural mind thinking, well, that's in the middle. That's the thickest part. Well, that's what you take out. Because if you go either side, then it's crowded. But taking the centers out is just such a common thing in pruning because that opens things up. And my sense is trees have to have light and air, and you've got to have openness. And I love that, the Japanese, from my perspective, is the only culture who knows how to prune. All other cultures don't know how to prune. I'm being real. Let me explain to you. When you come to where Western people prune, they prune from the outside in. They start hacking ends off. And the tree looks ugly. You got all these stumps in your face. The Japanese, they prune from the inside out. They get inside the tree and they see where all the crossovers are going, and they open that all up. And now you have a nice open tree, and they arrange it.
That's right.
And how does the Creator work with us? From the inside out. And so I'm seeing these principles in nature are in everything. It's so beautiful how the Creator made it so simple, so basic for us to get.
Now on this, okay, take this one for example. What do you do?
I'm so glad you asked, because I haven't got there, but I'm coming.
Yeah.
You see, from my perspective, that is a very, very cluttered, ugly mess. That does not look good. And see, because pruning is an art form, you want it to look good. So here's how we deal with this mess. We don't have it anymore. And you see, this is going underneath. This isn't cool either. See, this is crowded right here. So I'll take this mess out. And you see how just those few cuts just open that up. All of a sudden now we're good. You know, it's so basic. It's so simple. You see that? See, this is extending out beyond the normal flow. This is coming out too far. This is coming out too far. And you see just by those few cuts how all of a sudden that just looks, it flows. It's not crowded. Stuff's not sticking all over the place. So again, it's an art form.
And didn't you say in one of your videos that the ones that are going straight up don't produce fruit?
They
anyway?
don't. Yeah,
Okay,
look in
so you
trees.
wanna-
They don't. It's the lateral branches that produce fruit. And what's this tree here for?
To give us
Fruit. So duh. Again, it's what I'm seeing is it's so simple. It's so like obvious. If you're looking like,
What is this tree?
this is a pear tree.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
This is
looking.
this is the most amazing pear. If you have a pear at home, you should take some of that wood and graft into yours. Because this variety is called Clapp's Favorite, and it is the most amazing pear. I have Bartlett over here and other Comies. And my dogs, when I have fresh Bartlett that are ripe, they won't eat them. They'll pick the pears off of this because this is so much better.
Oh.
It's just an amazing variety. So you can go in there and any of those pieces there you can take, and you can graft in to your pear tree, and you'll have that variety.
Okay, I will do that.
It's called claps.
It's called Claps, C-L-A-P-P-S, favorite. It's really a cool variety.
Oh,
And you can,
let me taste
if you look at that branch right there, you can see where as it's coming off, or it changes. Come up. You see how it changed. That's why I grafted that. That's why I grafted this. I put this into that.
And I watched one of your videos
On doing it. Yeah, it's really easy.
And you use the cheaper
Black tape.
electrical
Yeah, because that holds everything really tight so it doesn't move, and
Right.
keeps the air out, and it really works great. But it's awesome, and like it's just in a couple of years you're having, and so that in the same tree you can have all kinds of different varieties of pears. And the other advantage of that is because they're different varieties, they're going to cross pollinate, so you're going to get very good fruit production. Yeah, grafting is fun. See, if I want more varieties in my place here, I have no more room. But by grafting, I can have new varieties. It's so nice. On my apple trees, it's hilarious. You come in here in the summertime, and on the same apple tree, there's red apples and yellow apples and green apples, all in the same tree because I grafted.
And you can just do it yourself.
Yeah, and it's easy, no problem.
Don't you love the way he's pruned all these?
Oh yes,
Down.
it's
Well, here's the sense that I have.
beautiful forest.
The sense I have is that we were created to have dominion. Are you following me? And you look at these trees, you look at the height of my hand. That's where all the tops are. And they're all bent over. They actually look like they're bowing over. They're humble. And they're serving me.
Right.
I have dominion. I'm totally taking charge. And the trees are serving me. And you look at most orchards, people are climbing to get in the trees. They're fighting through all this brush.
Right.
And it's a nightmare. You're a slave to it. And I'm thinking, I'm not going there. That's just no way to live.
So do you have a lot of trees that you're going to be pruning?
I have some, yes. I have 3 established, and then I have some, what are they, espaliated? Espaliated, which I don't know how to take care of.
Those won't last long.
They will not?
No.
Okay.
Here's why. It's like I've explained to him that he's watched me taking big branches out. You see, as a tree grows, not only does it extend itself, but the wood expands. Here's the problem with your espalier. You have everything in a very tight place, you know, on these wires. As that expands, it's going to choke itself off, and they won't last.
Oh, maybe I should dig them up and move them.
I would not have them.
Yeah.
They're a lot of work. You got to keep everything on this wire. You're a slave to it, and it doesn't even look good. From my perspective, these look so much nicer. Just a full tree, a nice shape, you know. And this is I can reach everything. It's not like it's hard to get stuff. I'm just so much of the stuff they come up with. I'm thinking like, really? What's the point?
To sell wire.
You know, and it's just and more trees because it's not going to last. You're going to replace them. You know. Here's the thing that I'm seeing. You know, these trees are gonna live for hundreds of years. They'll never die. The only reason trees die is because they get cavities and they break. The tree itself lives. You know, General Sherman down in California, that big redwood, is 2,000 years old, 500 some feet and still growing. I love it. You know, trees shouldn't die.
Do you have any pear trees?
This is a pear.
Yeah, I have one pear.
Tell her about the...
Yeah, I just told her. Now you can have in the same pear. And you know what's the problem with one pear? Is you don't get fruit because it requires another one to cross-pollinate.
Oh. I wonder if oh, there are 2 different kinds of pears on it.
Well, now you have 3.
Now I have 3. Yes.
You see, like I said, pruning is an art form. And if you look here, I can reach everything.
Yes.
That's, to me, it makes it so convenient to be able to reach fruit. You look at most orchard people are like fighting to get in. They're getting poked in the face. They can't reach. What's up with that? I mean, it's just like, you got to be kidding. Really?
Yeah. Do you have plum trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
And
There's a plum there and a plum there. And if you look at that plum, you can see plums still on it that just dry. There was so many. You can see them hanging so just dry on it. That thing had so many we couldn't get them all off. It was just unreal.
Okay, I'm going to see how you've done this one too.
It's like everything else. I do everything the same.
Okay.
But this one looks like it still needs to be done, right?
It hasn't been done, yeah. I haven't got there. If you look behind you, these are all done, and these aren't. You can tell the difference.
And it's okay to do still in winter.
Well, the ideal thing about winter, your mom can relate to this. As you get older, the word convenience makes a lot of sense. You follow me?
Yeah.
She gets it. In the wintertime, all the leaves are off.
Right.
There's no garden to take care of. There's no lawn to mow, no weeds to pull, so you have time. So it's convenient. It's very convenient to do it this time of year.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I'm really getting the advantages of convenience. It makes such sense.
Now, when the fruit starts to grow, okay, what branches do actually fruit then? I mean,
It's not the branches. It's called fruit spurs.
okay.
You see on these little branches, you see all these buds, how small they are. You see on these big thick ones. Those are fruit spurs, and you see and those will flower and create fruit.
Okay.
Where all the you see these thick ones, the ones that stick out. Those are fruit spurs.
Okay.
Where like on the new growth, you see it's all real small. Those are all leaves, but you see now that's a fruit spur. These are all fruit spurs here. They develop. Well, you don't so much. Here's the thing I'm finding: if something's in the wrong place, I don't care who it is, it's out of there. And again, I have such an abundance. There's so much fruit that happens. It's not like I have to worry. Oh, save that fruit spur. It's all about shape and arrangement. I could care less about a fruit spur because I have too much anyway.
You too. This is amazing.
Well, again, when you consider God, It's all about abundance. That's his nature. God only does multiplication. He doesn't do addition or subtraction or division. He only does multiplication. And see, all of nature shows that. Are you following me? You know, Romans 1, I love that verse in Romans 1. It says, the invisible attributes of God are clearly seen by the things he's made. I love that. You know, in one sense it says they're invisible. The next, says they're clearly seen. But what it says is that everything in nature is revealing the character of God. And what I'm seeing here in this place is blowing me away. Totally blowing me away. The abundance I'm getting just flips me out. It's just, I can't believe it. Will you guys grow arugula? You have a garden?
Yes.
You know what arugula is? You know how you know the size it usually is? See something hilarious? You see that in the garden, that big thick row of greens? That's arugula. You have never seen arugula that big.
I love that.
It's hilarious. It's just every year my produce gets bigger and sweeter,
Yes.
which is so in line with the character of God. That's who he is. He's not static. He doesn't stay the same. He's always multiplying, getting better. And see, all of nature shows that, which is so cool. See, now I had deer coming here. They chewed that end off, so I'm going to go back to a bud.
Okay.
I don't leave anything dead. See, I'm always cutting back to something coming away from it. So it looks like, see, when that heals over, it'll look like it just made that turn. It doesn't. See, the art of pruning is hiding your cuts. When you look at these trees, and in a few weeks when those cuts heal, it won't look like they've been pruned. Are you following me? It doesn't look like they've been cut on. That's the art of pruning. Where everyone you see pruning, you look at all these stumps in your face, it's obvious they pruned. It's ugly.
Right.
So the art is hiding your cuts.
Okay.
And you see when you cut close to something coming off of, like here, you see when that heals, it's going to look like nothing was ever there. There's no indication you pruned. Now you see how this is coming straight up, so it's just not flowing. So again, the aesthetics of it. You see this piece down here is going underneath. So I'm going to get rid of that. See, this is going down. So I'm going to get rid of that. This is going up. This is going up. So you want things nice and flat.
Okay. Wonderful. So
And you know what's so cool about pruning? Even if you make a mistake and you mess everything up, it grows back.
Okay.
And next year you get new options. You see, and see how that shows the forgiveness of God. He's so forgiving. Even when you make mistakes, you can repent and get right again.
That's right.
And so every year the tree grows back and gives you new options, so you can always correct and make it better.
Okay, so once the new growth starts coming, are there going to be a lot of...
Yes. And you know what I do? In the summertime, when they first come on, I take my glove with no pruners and I rub them off as they're babies.
Okay.
Don't let them develop into big, long, heavy shoots.
Okay.
Just rub them off. And here's the logic. You see, it takes a lot of energy to create all this wood.
Right. That's
So you're going to
true.
cut off later. Well, why leave it there? Get it off up front. Let the energy go into the tree where you want it.
Yeah.
So all summer long, you look at the inside of my trees, they're all open because I rub all those off. I don't let them happen because they just create big shoots and they shade. I don't want them.
Okay.
So if they're in the
That's
wrong
good.
place up front, get rid of it.
So you prune
All year.
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
The major stuff I do now, but in the summer I keep all these things open up
Okay.
with my hand and a glove.
Wow.
Easy.
What size of these branches should I take? Like this one?
Whatever you want to graft. Whatever size you want to graft in. Now, see that what I would like this piece right here. It's got two nice leaders coming off. Let me point out to you. See right there, this piece, this one right here.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, and so you can take your pruners and cut like to there, and now you've got a nice piece, and so you got the two pieces coming off.
Oh, nice.
Here, bring it to me, and I'll show you. I'll cut it, and I'll show you how.
But I'll need to cut it fresh when
no,
I'm ready to do
no,
it, won't I?
no. See, I would cut this off like right here.
Okay.
And you see that you can graft, right? Graft it into your tree. So you
Okay.
got a nice,
Yes.
double leader coming off.
Beautiful.
So
Thank
just
you.
in the pile there, just select, again, use your aesthetic eye. How this will look cool. This will fit nice with my tree. And then just pick it out.
Yeah. Should I put it in water until I'm ready
No.
to do it?
Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Oh,
It's
wow.
right now it's dormant.
Okay.
Are you following me? All the water's out of it. So it's taking a rest. So this is a perfect time to harvest and graft.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And how long will it stay like that?
Stay like that? Well, here's something I'm finding that's really interesting in my life. Is that everything I was taught in school were lies. They don't work. So you're taught when you graft, take cyan wood now and put it in a cooler and preserve it in the cooler until the spring when the sap comes back in, and that's when you graft in.
That's when you grab.
That's what you're told.
Oh, that's what you're taught.
So last year, I have a gravency tree over here that I grafted. One of my clients had this gravency tree she paid too much money for. And I couldn't figure out why until one day I ate one of the apples. And I thought, whoa, man, this is an amazing gravency. And I got gravencies, but they don't taste like this. So I took a cutting and grafted in my tree. And so when I'm pruning last year, I'm thinking like, I want to extend this because this is really a cool variety. So I made some cuts. And I didn't want to walk all the way back to my cooler back there to put it away. So all this lays on the ground, come back and get them later. You know what happened? I didn't come back and get them later. I forgot about it. She gets it. She knows. Yeah. And so I forgot. I'm out in April weeding under the tree. And what totally blew me away was the clippings that I put on the tree had budded out and putting on leaves the same as the ones in the tree. They were cut. They're separate. They're laying on the ground, and they're totally leafing out.
Oh, right.
And I thought, whoa.
Energy in it.
Now, I asked God, he says, they're taking up the energy off the wood chips. So what I got that day is, you don't have to put them in the cooler. And so now I'm thinking like, those laid there all winter, totally exposed, and they're growing. So I'm just thinking, when I cut it, just graft the same day. Why wait? It laid on the ground. It wasn't protected. It wasn't like in a cool place. And it's fine. So now I'm just cutting and grafting. I'm not waiting, and stuff's doing great. And so it's so fun getting freed from all these lies, because it makes life easy for you.
So when you get home, you can take those
And graft it right away. Yeah, just,
Even in the snow.
right now. Yeah, whenever make it easy for yourself.
Trees dormant, those are dormant.
Yep.
They'll wake up when they wake up.
And it's so fun, in the spring to you see these grafts you do starting to grow. You realize it took awesome,
Yeah. Wow.
Something else, God showed me about the advantage of grafting. If you're aware of what's happening today on the planet with our food,
Oh, yeah.
and how the farmers are using more and more pesticides every year, and the bee population in the world is declining at a very scary rate. You know what's so awesome about having multiple varieties in the same tree? When the wind blows, they'll cross-pollinate with no bees.
Yeah.
And if bees don't happen, I'm going to have fruit because I have multiple varieties in the same tree, and the wind will cross-pollinate.
Yeah. That's great.
That's awesome. That's totally awesome as far as I'm concerned. Like,
We still need our bees.
yay God.
Yay, God is right.
Yeah, we need our bees. Now this tree was really, really abused by the deer, big time. You can see how it's just all whacked up. And so I'm going to have to recreate it into a nice tree. And this is I'm glad you're here because this is dramatic. This is going to flip most people out. But my sense is when you want to fix something, you get the obvious out first. Something that's really in the way.
Okay.
And that opens things up. Now is this camera on? Watch this. See, now most people would never do this. This is a huge branch I'm cutting out. But you'll see when it's out why I'm doing it. You see how that just opened up that space?
Sure did.
Everything was just, and I took the center out, the thing in the middle, and just opened it up. So it just, but that was, you see, that was continuing to grow. It's just been thicker and thicker and thicker, and so it's just out of here. Yeah, and now all of a sudden you can just almost you feel like I can breathe now. Like, oh, thank you. But yeah, you can see the deer just chewed off all these ends. But, so I'm just gonna have to recreate my tree, make a new shape again, and that's what's so cool about pruning. You can always correct.
What kind of a tree is this?
This one here is my favorite apple tree. It's called Honeycrisp.
Oh, it is a
Honeycrisp is amazing how well it stores. In my cooler, Honeycrisp will store for an entire year. It is incredible how well it keeps. Totally amazing.
So tell us how you store them.
I have a walk-in cooler, a great big walk-in cooler I got out of an old Safeway that closed down. 8 by 10, and so I can store a lot of apples. It's awesome.
Do you mind if I take this piece?
No, I don't mind at all. Help yourself. And you're welcome. Anything on the ground there, you're free. It's totally free for you. To you. Yeah, if you got an apple tree, graft this in. This is a cool variety. That's one thing so nice about this. Is why I enjoy being able to graft, because you see they're always coming up with new varieties. And so Honeycrisp has only been around for a few years. It's not very old, but it's just an amazing great apple.
Oh, we have to keep track of that. How am I gonna do that? I don't want to put the apple on the pear tree.
Well, it's pretty obvious if you look at it. Look at the wood difference
Oh, there is.
compared to the pear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very different. So much is just observation, simple observation. Just God made things really easy for us.
Just have to pay attention
Yeah.
and ask them.
So how many different grafts?
I don't even know anymore.
Same tree.
I don't. And what's hilarious? You're gonna love this. I have apple trees and apple varieties. I don't even know what they are yet. I gotta find out someday when someone's gonna identify them, because the people just gave me a sign. I just grafted in, so I don't even know what they are.
So would you put 25 different varieties on the same tree?
No, that's a little bit crowded. Depending on the tree, the larger the tree, you have more stuff, But
Paul?
Yeah.
What's going on with this tree right here?
that tree got blown over,
Blown over?
totally blown over by the wind. It was totally full of fruit, heavy, and the wind just blew it over. You can see it's uprooted right there.
Yeah. That's why I was wondering.
And so I'm gonna stake it. I'm gonna get it back up. You know how I'm gonna support? I'm gonna pull it back up. We'll walk over there, and you'll see how easy it'll move. Just get in front of it and push it up. You'll see it'll come right up. But let me tell you how I'm gonna secure it.
How are you going to do it? Oh, wow.
See, it moves easy. So this should be on video, because this is important. You see, what I was supporting before with green tape, and didn't hold the wind. So I'm going to take a stainless steel eye bolt and screw into my tree and run a cable off of that to a post in the ground, and it's never going to move again. The reason I use stainless steel is that it's not going to corrupt the tree. Galvanized, anything else will damage the tree, but stainless steel will not rust, and it'll be forever. And the tree will eventually just grow over the bolt, won't hurt it, because it'll just become part of it. But that's how I'm going to change that and never have that ever happen again.
Wow.
Stainless steel eye bolt right into the tree.
Are you going to dig down a little bit and put this?
No, I'm just going to pull it back up and add wood chips. Just bury it. This digging down and doing work is just not happening here. It's not. I'm just going to bury it, man. Just raise the grade. Just cover it.
So when you stick up that apple tree over there, are you going to do it on a pole like this?
Yeah, I'll use
or
a
like a big metal?
a metal pole like this, and then I'll just run the I'm gonna use a cable, run through the eye bolts and over here and connect it, and we're good.
And then, will you ever take that out, or do you just leave it like that forever?
Well,
Like,
I probably at some point when the eye bolt's all eaten up by the tree and I'm looking at it, I maybe take it out, but it's just I don't. It's not like, oh, in 2 years I'll do it.
Right.
It's kind of thinking one day you're out there thinking like, I don't need that anymore, and I'll just take it out. See, now, like this big branch coming over here it's just too close to the ground, and so I'm going to take it out because it's just it's on the ground.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah, see, it's this one coming out over here. It's just Now this gives you an idea of how much my trees grow. See, for whatever reason, I think because I had so much produce in here, see, the deer never got to this tree.
Yeah.
And you can see, how much more prolific it is than all the rest that I haven't pruned.
Now, what is this?
This tree here is a really cool variety. It's called Liberty.
Oh, it's an apple.
It's an apple tree, but the variety is Liberty. It's just a really, really good variety. Now you can see, the one thing nice about pears when you graft is that all pears grow the same rate. Apples don't. You see how much more vigorous this tree is than the other apple trees around. How much more growth it put on. You can see, like, certain varieties like Gravenstein is very, very vigorous. And the challenge with grafting into those, or if you graft that into something, you get this really huge branch that's way out of balance to the rest. So that's something you have to be careful for when you're grafting apples. With pears all grow the same way, and so it stays very uniform. It's not a problem.